Good morning, West Ham fans. Hope you're safe and well as per usual. Anton here bringing you the West Ham Daily, or a West Ham opinion piece, or a little bit of a West Ham story, you could say. So we, of course, have come off the back of the draw against Bournemouth. And depending on what way you look at it, a point is a point, and it's sometimes about respecting the point, and I feel like I respect that point. From the game against Bournemouth. I've already given you my quick player ratings, but I'm here to talk to you about one of those players that did play in the game, the player that scored the goal, the player that scored the penalty. His name is Lucas Paqueta. Now, you could say that he's maybe dropped a big hint over his long-term future at West Ham, stating that he loves playing for the club. But here's where things get really interesting. Just before kickoff, or maybe like an hour and a bit just before kickoff, he posted a very cryptic social media post. The post was from a quotation, a set of lyrics that came from a Brazilian gospel duo, Jefferson and Swellen, called Vem Me Busca. And in the translation, he says, "I'm not from here. I will return home. He comes to get me and I will go." And then he turns up, plays for West Ham, he scores the goal, and then he really rams home how much he loves this club. So very odd, very misreading, understanding messages about what the player actually wants from this. Now, on the field, West Ham in particular, as we know, have struggled to get to grips under Julian Lopetegui, under the lack of guidance, in my opinion, lack of style of play, lack of identity. And one of those players that's really suffering has been Lucas Paqueta, but not just because of Julian Lopetegui's issues with regards to how he is head coaching this team, but also the fact that he's got a lot of off-the-field issues due to the potential charges coming from the FA, the investigation into the allegations, and no outcome yet has been taken, and he's protested his innocence ever since the start of this investigation. But you can understand this has taken a long time, and it will be, and feels like it has been having a bit of a negative impact on Lucas Paqueta's style of play. But after netting the goal against Bournemouth, Paqueta spoke to the mainstream media about his delight scoring his first away goal of the season, and he sent a strong signal to West Ham saying he wanted to remain a West Ham player. He said the following: "I'm so happy to score tonight, but we want to win every game. It was a difficult game here, but I think it's a big and important point. I think we did very well. Now we have time to recover and work a lot to improve and to play again next week." It was a difficult game against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a good team. They played very well against some of the biggest teams in the Premier League, but we did very well. The Premier League is like this, and we still have to be in the same way. I tried to concentrate on my shot, and when I had the ball, I looked at the goalkeeper. I tried to score, and today I scored, and I'm happy. And I'm like this. And he said, when describing his celebration with Lopetegui, he said, "I love to play here with West Ham. I love the strengths, and I try to make and improve. Move and improve, and with the coach we have the same way and work together. For me, it's very important to play. I like to play every day, every week. Then I'm happy and I try to improve, and now I'll focus on the next game." Now, it's really interesting. It's a big, bold statement, especially on the back of your contradictory tweets. But the question I suppose I'll ask to you is, would you sell him? Should he stay or should he go now? We've got the January transfer window coming up, and people are saying that he's an asset that can generate quite a lot of income for us. And he's not been playing well all season. And should West Ham get rid of Lucas Paqueta? And my simple answer to that is absolutely no. There is one slight caveat to it, right? And I don't know how you can ever get around this, because I think if you had an indication that he was going to be found guilty, and then you were like, well, I'm going to try and sell you and generate some form of income, then so be it. Unless there's a loan deal to be had, because West Ham know what's coming from the FA. However, if they're confident, because it has been taking so long to try and get some element of evidence to the player, then if we and he does not get found guilty, we should not be getting rid of a player like Lucas Paqueta, because I've seen some fans say accept anything for him. But you're talking about a player that was £85 million valued literally last summer. Like, and yeah, okay. You say overnight, has he been awful? He's not been the best. He's not been up to his scratch. He's not been up to his standard. But something like that game against Bournemouth could really kickstart a Lucas Paqueta. Honestly, I do think, and we all know this, a very informed, well playing Lucas Paqueta can really make a difference to West Ham. And this is what makes it even more interesting is Carlos Soler starting to find his feet in the West Ham midfield. And I think this potential partnership of the two quality players that they can be on their day, and if we can get the best out of Lucas Paqueta, and imagine putting him alongside Carlos Soler, who's starting to dominate a little bit of areas of midfield, that is an exciting prospect. And at that point, you can maybe start to see, okay, is this us trying to adapt? Have we had the bedding in period? We've gone through so many transitions, and we're coming to the January transfer window, the first window, second window under Lopetegui, but the first opportunity to see who does he really want? Who does he really want kicking around at this club? Who's going to have the real opportunities? Paquetá will not want to be playing football, but probably has an element of loyalty to West Ham for how we've stood by him through his tough times. And I'm just one of those guys that just does not believe players become rank overnight. It's a little bit like going back to the Jesse Lingard situation. At one point, he was hitting the heights, but situations out with football caused there to be issues in his game. And once he resolved those issues, he brought himself back and he became the best player he could be at West Ham. An okay season at Manchester United after that, and he should have signed for West Ham. We all know that. But when you sign a bad player, and they are a bad player, you shouldn't be surprised. Nikolai Vlasic, for example. Harsh to say a bad player. You get my point I'm trying to make. But when you bring in a coup of a player like Lucas Paquetá, who throughout every career, every team he's played for, called up to the Brazilian international, set up, performs at the level that we know he can, and then he has something go wrong out within his personal life, and then suddenly we're accepting, not we, but fans are willing to accept to lose him off the squad sheet because of not the best of seasons, because he does give the ball away and he has been giving the ball away in awkward positions, and he's not been up to scratch. It's not for me. I genuinely think if, maybe the gods or whatever you believe in have maybe dealt us the cards, and the cards are Paqueta's going to stay with you. And if he is going to stay with us and he's not going to be found guilty, we need to maximise what this player can do. And if we can get the best out of him again, and once his personal situation is resolved, we've got an almighty, top-notch, world-class footballer in our hands. And we get the best out of him and he'll bring the best out of all the other players, then there's an exciting prospect there. Maybe you could say I'm getting carried away with myself. Maybe you say I'm not. I just think it's too quick to jump the gun on someone like Lucas Paquetá. Yes, he's an asset. Yes, he could bring us some income. But what kind of income, especially if he's under investigation, could we have? What we need to do is maximise his opportunity and make him feel at home and put our hands around him and make him feel like he's part of this family, from the fan base to the players to the coaches, and get the best out of him. Because if you've got a Lucas Paquetá firing on all cylinders, you've got a West Ham team halfway there to firing on all cylinders as well. So let me know your thoughts. I'm really intrigued about Lucas Paquetá. Would you sell if we had the opportunity? Or would you loan him out if we had the opportunity? Or would you be willing to keep him on the team, keep him in the squad, and see if we can get what we had out of most of the seasons he's had, knowing that he's got problems off the field, hopefully coming to an end, that could really reignite his career. Again, the player's only 27 as well. Let me know your thoughts. Put it in the comments. Take it easy. And of course, come on, you Irons.